Hi, beautiful souls. Welcome. Namaste. My name is Sadhana, and hello. I'm an intuitive reader, a healer. And Wednesday afternoons, Wednesday evenings, I'm here to talk about decks. And I have a few more Lenormand decks that I wish to compare and share on my channel. And today we're going to look at a couple of decks by a creator who is, I believe her name is Sandra. And her Etsy shop name is Lijandik. Lijandik. She is in Innsbruck, Austria. And there are several variations of this Lenormand deck in her shop. And I have two of them that I'm going to share with you. Today, I have the Blue Water Lenormand as well as the daVinci Lenormand. And there are other decks that are basically the same deck, but they have a different overlay, perhaps a slightly different background. She has the Impressioned Lenormand, the Phoenix Lenormand. I think those are the other two. And they're pretty much the same deck. Now, I want to get right into the cards. Hi, Patricia. Welcome. For those of you that love Lenormand cards and having slightly different artwork, I think this is kind of a fun variation. These are larger than a standard Lenormand. I have my Piatnik deck here, so you can see that these are both wider and taller than the Piatnik deck. So they're not the largest Lenormand cards that I have, but they're definitely larger. They are different card stock. And I don't know if when she prints her decks, it says that they're handmade, and I don't know if she prints how many at a time. So these ones that I have, this is much thicker card stock than the daVinci. I quite like the thinness actually of the daVinci. These feel, we'll shuffle them at the end, but just letting you know that there's not a bunch of extra cards here. If you can see that this pile is quite a bit higher. The thing for me about the daVinci Lenormand that I really like, there's something about the mystery and magic of daVinci, the backwards writing. I'm really intrigued with these cards. But when I saw that Sandra had a whole bunch of different decks, basically with the same cards, I was really intrigued. So I decided to get another variation. So these are the title cards. There is one extra card in the deck. So for the rider, we have what looks to me either like a young child or a woman perhaps walking away on a horse. And really, it's so interesting. And what she has done, so on the daVinci Lenormand, you see the keyword is in German, and there's a bunch of backwards writing that I would love to take some time to look at in the mirror to see if I could decipher any of this on the daVinci Lenormand. That would be so much fun. This particular card, the Clover Card, is really beautiful. And the lighting of both the Bluebird as well as the daVinci, they're kind of special. And I think this deck would look really, really good with Tatiana's Lenormand. I'll share that one at one point as well too. This one, if you do 2-voice or 3-voice readings with tarot and or oracle, of course, sepia color decks are really versatile. This is the ship, which is a really interesting take on the ship, having 2 ships on the card. The fact that it's not a large boat. You can see that these the playing card associations are visible on the daVinci, but I don't think they are on the Bluebird, and I didn't notice that before. That may or may not be a deal breaker for you. No, it is there. So you can see we have heart in the center and then the king down below. So it is there. This is actually quite an inspiration because if you were to design, I mean, this is quite clever what she has done, creating a basic deck and then coming up with multiple variations through different filters and so forth, and then changing the overlay of the language. Tamia, did I say hi? Welcome. And if you were, like I said, if you had a specific oracle or tarot in mind for doing two voice or three voice readings, one of these decks might speak to you a little more. And to tell you the truth, I see something quite different in both of these cloud cards. The light. So there is a sense of light on the left side of the daVinci Lenormand that I don't quite pick up on with the filter. I really do like to have a decisive left and right with the clouds card. This King of Clubs, you know, it needs a side. I almost feel as if the bluebird, rather than being a blue bird, it's more like an underwater effect. It's just kind of mysterious. One thing I haven't done is very difficult to read that Q. The Q is a Q under the snake. It's funny, I've been finding errors in playing card associations where I have decks that have there's not really an insert, it's just written on it. There's quite a few. I found actually one on one of the Media decks. What do you think about this as the coffin card? The K. I should be saying the playing card associations as we go through, just double checking. So I'm going to do that for the rest of the cards. So Queen of Spades. The Scythe in this deck. I don't know whether it's the perspective, but it has a different sort of effect, a different tool effect than I would see as a scythe. This is the Jack of Diamonds. Jack of Clubs. Whip or Broom. And I'll show you the alternate bird card because she does have an owl card. Seven of Diamonds. And I believe it was in the German decks, perhaps. Because do you have there is an owl, Lenormand. I think the owl was actually originally the bird of choice. If there is an option between an owl and other birds, I do tend to choose the other birds. And I prefer to have two birds on the card because, as you're probably aware, this particular card can represent a pair of something. Seven of Diamonds. The coloring in this one is just beautiful. And then the child is Jack of Spades. I've been talking quite a bit about playing card associations in my Lenormand series, and I do like it to be loud and clear. Most of them I have memorized, but sometimes I don't remember, and so it's really nice to see right away what it is. Nine of Clubs, Ten of Clubs. Six of Hearts, stars. You know what I mean? That underwater effect. And as I'm saying that, I'm wondering if there is um, a specific use or a different energy where, you know, if I was focusing on scorpionic energy, Piscean energy, if I was, you know, deep into one of the other, you know, to Cancer or something, one of the either a reading focused on a zodiacal energy or something that felt deeply emotional. Whereas the daVinci Lenormand feels more mysterious. There's a different vibe with these two. Let me know if you have any of her other decks, or if you've if you've seen them on Etsy. Which one intrigues you? Queen of Hearts. Ten of Hearts for the dog. I love the little splashes of color in the sepia deck. Six of Spades. Different tower here. Eight of Spades. The park, so known as the park, not the garden. Can you get me a nice pack under my feet, please? It's really hot here today. Mountain. It would be kind of fun to have also a geographic reference for these cards. And we have quite different cards for the Crossroads cards, which she has named ways. And that might be in response to the German name, because the German name looks very similar. Mice. And this is another example. I was saying with the birds, I like to have multiple birds on the card, and the same with mice. This looks like a cute little mouse, and it, to me, hi Joseph, having multiple mice on the card is, I don't know, it's a bit more effective. So that's your Seven of Clubs. Sorry, some of them I have said, some of them I haven't. Heart. I was just looking at another variation. In one of the variations, she has a keyhole in the heart. And I'm just looking, that could be confusing with the key. Jack of Hearts. I've said to myself multiple times I would like to sit and see if I can read. And I don't know if it's the same passage. Actually, it is. It's just, if you look at it, it's the same passage that she's using from daVinci's work. And here we have, perhaps, I thought maybe it was an opal ring, but when I look at the colored ring, it could be rhodonite. That's actually interesting that she would use a crystal that was focused on the heart space. Hi, Erica. Namaste. There's something about this card, though, that the circle feels like an important part of the symbol. And I'm not really getting I think one of the most clever ring cards, I believe it is in the Anna K. Lenormand, where she uses the rings that are joining two sails or something like that. Right. So the shape for me is important here. Book. So in this deck, we have a closed book, which I actually kind of like. Either it's a different angle for the book. I haven't, you know, in the Lenormand series, I haven't been doing. There's a few cards that I haven't been reading direction on. One is the coffin, one is the book. And when I'm doing readings on my own, client readings and so forth, depending on the deck that I'm using, sometimes these two cards can give us, there's others as well too, you know, where the spine is facing this, it has a different energy. And actually, you know, I forgot that that's something that I haven't been playing with lately. I haven't been focusing on. So interesting that in the daVinci Lenormand, of course, she uses a profile of daVinci, and then in the Bluebird, and I haven't checked the other ones out to see if the man and the woman are different in different decks. So Ace of Hearts and Ace of Spades. Same woman, different man. Lily. This is it for me. This is a tricky one because the sun represents energy. The metaphor, the dandelion, is just full of metaphor. It's a great, um, it's a great plant to use for, I want to say, abundance of different cards, the spreading of the seeds, maybe nostalgia. The Fool card. There's lots of places where I feel like the dandelion fits in the tarot, in different divination systems. But using the dandelion on the sun card, I don't know if that's problematic or not. These are definitely much, much thicker cardstock. Beautiful moon card. Really like it in the sepia version. If you are just looking at the titles, do you have a preference? So this is Eight of Hearts and Eight of Diamonds. It might be kind of fun to do a two-voice reading with one of the mermaid decks and this one. Okay, so again, single creature on a card that applies abundance. Yes, fish is fish, and fish means what fish means. And, I want to say not but and, in all of, so birds and mice and fish, there is a single creature. Quite like the anchor. And then cross, which is surprisingly simple for this deck. Yeah. So let's do a 9 card, just for fun. And because this deck is so big, I definitely wouldn't do more than a 9 card with this one. And I want to show you how each of the decks shuffles. Because I know that's important to some of you. So again, these are larger. This one is a really nice, I quite like the thin cardstock, with the Bluebird Lenormand, I might be a little bit worried about damaging the cards because they are a little more cardboardy. And I haven't edged either of these, but they shuffle fine, but I just want to be mindful that I don't bend the cardboard. I was going to say that because you're only dealing with 36 cards and maybe a few extra cards, edging Lenormand is not a problem. Okay. Erica or Joseph, Tamian, Patricia, do you have a question that you would like answered? I'm going to do a 9 card. Of course, I can pull one out of my hat if nothing comes to mind, but please go ahead if one of you would like to speak up. So it is the 17th day of August. The moon is in Taurus. The moon is waning. The energy is diminishing, while the sun is in Leo. There's an interesting aspect with Venus today. So Venus was square the moon this morning. Okay. It feels like a little bit of a calmer day, astrologically speaking. Okay, I'll take a couple of breaths here. Hello, the fisherman. All right, so let's do a reading for the collective on the 17th day of July. Sorry, not July, August. Just want to... There we go. Good evening to the fisherman. And also welcome to new member, Nida Stete. It's a pretty name. Okay. I'm going to turn over the central card for the reading for the collective on the 17th day of August, 2022. As I mentioned, the moon is in Taurus, earth sign. The sun is in Leo. Okay. What is our focus? All right, so our focus is on let's just back off a little bit. And this is interesting with the energy of with the moon being waning, the moon getting smaller. The mice is about erosion. It's about something being eaten away. So it's kind of funny, that the mice is here, but the mice is never a good card. There's always something that perhaps much to our, despite the hard work that we have put in, despite any energy we've put towards something, there is something that we need to be cautious of. So we have the sun, which will brighten up the energy of the mice for sure. Sun across the top and the waves. So we have Ace of Diamonds, Queen of Diamonds, and King of Hearts. So our top row is very positive. It's very positive. What is the focus? How does the mice influence these 3 very positive cards? I think in the optimism of summer, in the optimism of perhaps So I'm assuming you are in North America. If you are in South America, if you are in the Southern Hemisphere, it's a kind of a different energy, but there's a natural lightness, there's a natural optimism, a sense of potential that lies with Leo energy, the summer, the peak of the summer energy. And the mice perhaps wants to remind us that just to be careful. And on a very practical level, if you're picnicking, if you have food out for dinner, make sure that you're taking good care of your food, using coolers, using ice. Refrigeration is really important in the summer because the mice itself can speak to contamination of a sort or another. Hi there, Heather. Welcome. Welcome. Okay. I will try to back off the camera so you can see we have another heart and another heart. So surrounding quite a negative card, we have all positive cards. And when I really like to have a general overview of Lenormand readings, and so it feels funny that the mouse is sitting there. And the fisherman put in that phrase, quiet as a mouse. But that's not generally a direction that one would go with the meaning of this card. So I think on a very practical level, we need to keep an eye out for what might not be as it appears. In the central row, we have heart and stars with mice in the center. And this is perhaps, so we can look at this as emotional, as an adjective, emotional, emotional inspiration. This is also a very energetic emotional inspiration. Perhaps this is based on a need or a want to change directions, to move, perhaps change home, change geographic location. And I would just err on the side of caution. Can't the mouse be negative chatter in our minds? Not necessarily, Erica. The mice does not. The mice, if you're reading it that way, it would be something that is diminishing the potential of the greatness of the other cards. Because we do truly have all positive cards. Let's see what we've got down at the bottom. We have another positive card. We have the King of Spades. So this is our second king. And the kings are mirroring one another. They are opposite one another. And the kings also represent the full energy of the element itself. Oh, yes. My audience is quiet as a mouse. Yes. So the kings, right? The kings, they amplify the importance of the energy of the element. And this, I'm doing a reading. So in the next hour, I'll be on live in the Facebook group. And the inspiration for the Facebook group this week is not a positive card. And this is kind of funny, actually. I'm looking at this going, because I've also been having a hard time planning my talk in the Facebook group, which is coming up next. And we're looking at the goddess of Ariadne, whose key phrase is "I am lost." She was abandoned. She was abandoned by, I'm going to get the two Greek names mixed up. She was abandoned after she helped her love defeat the Minotaur in the labyrinth. She was abandoned on Naxos. And I was confused about why the energy of loss might show up at this time when the energy is so inspirational. Why would we be focusing on loss or grief or abandonment? And then this card shows up today as the central focus for the collective, which almost mirrors the that particular lesson. Now, the mouse doesn't represent abandonment, but it does represent a loss or the energy of loss. So let's pull the last two cards and then we'll see where we're going to end up with this. So we do have another club below. So what's happening in this central row is we have the Ways card overhead, mouse and cross. Responsibilities. I wonder if responsibilities have been really heavy. Personally for me, and this is a theme that I can relate to, not knowing which way to go as far as a particular responsibility in your life that very may well be connected to your role as leader in the family, or the one who makes decisions in the family. The sun is illuminating this this focus on change or shifting directions. Okay. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Okay. I'm having an, I don't know if the fisherman's having an aha moment, but I am certainly having an aha moment here. The fox, while it can represent cleverness, in this particular instance, because we have fox and mouse and cross appearing together here, I want to say that all players in this situation may not be entirely honest. There may be some ulterior motives that you have wanted to remain very optimistic about. But the truth is that your intuition, your trust, your wanting, this combination of sun and heart and star is a very powerful combination. This knighting thing that's happening here, diminished by the energy of the mouse. This row, underneath it, we have these two difficult cards. And I want to say that you say this is a maturing responsibility, a maturing challenge that we have seen coming. I don't think the fox snuck into the hen house. I think you have seen the fox. I think you have seen the fox coming. The fox has been in and out of the picture for some time. And the sun is illuminating the fox. So I want you to pay attention to the fox. This is not a time for you to give the fox the benefit of the doubt. Your intuition about the fact that the fox is diminishing the light of your family and the light of your household is absolutely true. Okay. Yeah. Probably not what you wanted to hear today, but sometimes we need that kind of confirmation. It is, and I know for me, giving someone the benefit of the doubt, giving somebody a second chance, a third chance, is what I want to do. But the truth is that you knew from the first time you met them that they were not being entirely upfront with you, and that there were ulterior motives. And despite all of that, there's something here that is very enduring. That's very enduring. And if we are to look at the abundance of positive cards here, I don't want you to lose hope, lose faith entirely, because this is a lot of light and illumination. And so you will survive this. You will get through this. It's just really important that you call the fox out. Okay, that you be strong and that you recognize that. I think these two kings here also surrounding the mouse speak to your role in kind of taking charge of this situation. Hmm. Okay. All right. Well, um, thank you. Thank you for being here today. And if you have seen other variations of Sandra's decks, I would love to hear in the comments below later. Um, they're they're really intriguing, but I have to say that this particular sepia version of her deck absolutely is my favorite. I love the little splashes of color that come through in the brown tones. So yeah, take good care of yourselves, and I will see some of you very soon. Friday, I will be on. I've already got the thumbnail up for Friday, and we'll have our regular tarot chat at 12 p.m. Pacific. Namaste, everybody, and thanks for your contribution to the conversation.